Welcome to Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast. I am your host, Miss D. On this weekly show, you will tune in to discussions of different topics about today's society, culture, and adulthood. Of course, there's always juicy conversation with a little bit of love and plenty of sex. And let's not forget the stories of all relationships and the mess with relationships. Join me every week along with my friends and guests to get your dose and keep it raw on everything and anything. And remember, no topic is off limits. All right, guys, welcome back to another week and another episode on Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast. Guess what? Pr 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 Prrrrr. It is episode 50. 50. 50. In Spanish, 50. Now, get this shit. Like, when you're running a whole fucking podcast, the official episode 50 looks mighty fucking fine at about from this angle. And I am so happy and proud that we are here, that I fucking made it. And holy shit, like, I'm just what 50? What? Crazy. A whole mini-sode series that I've been rocking out with every single Tuesday. I hope you guys are tuned into that. Bonus episodes. I mean, dope as fuck guests. Forever grateful for every single one of them. Like, I'm just in shock. Like, I'm not surprised, but I am surprised because, you know, we're about to hit the 1 year, and if we trace it back all the way back to a year ago, I am based out of New York City. And almost a year ago, this whole fucking city shut down in the beginning of a whole fucking pandemic. So much has happened since a year ago that you guys are listening to this episode. So even before the pandemic was official, so much has happened. So many changes, so many ups and downs started for me personally in my life. And you know, to go through all those changes, life lessons, ups and downs, and all the rounds, to be where I am today, to have executed, to have successfully launched and continued a whole fucking show that you guys come here every single week and tune into. And it's just so dope. It's so amazing. I am very, very proud. Hold on a second. Let me pat myself on the back. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but I just did it. This is my baby. This is my baby. I am in so much glory. I'm really, really fucking proud and so excited to be delivering this official 50 episode. Yo, 50 looks really good. I'm just very happy to be here and able to talk my shit today with you guys. So let's get right to it. First and foremost, you guys already know I have given you guys a little surprise courtesy of Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast. It is, you know, a little link. It's a link up. It's a link up between me, you guys, and AudiblePremiumPlus. That's right. It is a free trial. It is still available. Go to the show notes, or if you follow me on social media, you can go to the link in my bios and you guys will see the little, linkage to Audible. You guys go through there, but make sure you pick the Audible Premium Plus free trial. For anyone who is an Amazon Prime user, you can get 2 credits to download an Audible book. So that means 2. Right? You get 2 free ones. And if you're not an Amazon Prime user, you still get 1 credit. Go ahead and use it. Last episode 49, we were able to talk about very toxic relationships and marriages that my guest and I got out of. And we were able to detail to you guys a book that we both have read, which was The 4 Agreements. It is linked in that show description. But nevertheless, there are plenty of books you guys can definitely listen to. How dope is that? Like, I love to read, but ever so often there are books that I love to listen to. So you guys should definitely use those credits and enjoy it courtesy of this here show. All right, now that I'm done indulging on that, I have decided it's a solita episode today, solo. That's right, just me. Misty. And I have no one who to have an icebreaker game with. But just because it's an icebreaking moment doesn't mean I can't put myself in a hot seat. So I am going to put myself in a hot seat because there is a little question that came up in the previous full episode 49 of last week. And it was from my guests after we had been discussing a little bit about just, not comparing, but just seeing the differences in both our marriages that we got out of and just like things that we were able to just remember and relive and just go back to. And one of the questions was, well, the key question was, now looking back to that and realizing how that was for me, right? Don't I look back and don't I say to myself, well, you know what, like, oh, don't you just kick yourself in the ass, right? And I've been thinking about that a lot, right? I've been thinking a lot about just many decisions in my life, many choices, right? We have choices in life. We have things that sometimes happen. There's so much going on in this world. Again, I can't stress it enough. Just in the last year, what haven't we learned? If we're here today to talk about it, we made it. With God's blessings, we fucking made it. But here's the thing. There is this song that came to mind to me ever since that last episode. There's a song that when it was it, and I think it is still kind of, the singer is a Grammy award-winning singer, but this song particularly was very, very dope. It was hot. It was at the top for a very long time. She is an amazing singer. This song came to my mind now that I'm able to reflect on what that question was. And I'm able to sit here and as I'm sharing more and more with you guys, and I'm sure by now you must have already tuned into this week's minisode and you must have already listened to a moment in my life that I am not so proud of, but I learned my biggest lesson from. The song that really resonates with me with that question of don't I kick myself in the ass about, what I know today compared to what I knew then and just the choices and decisions I've made. It is Adele's song, Someone Like You. There is a line in that song and it is called, the line is, regrets and mistakes, there are memories made. And that is one of those lines that just really, really has stayed with me ever since I heard that song. It is definitely a song that I totally shower sing to. Don't come for me. No, I'm not going to sing it here. But, the line itself, it just really came to my mind. And let me be honest about something, okay? I am one person that, I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard this, like when certain mothers or certain parents or just certain people are put in a position to reflect on their past. And God forbid you say, oh my God, I regret this. Oh, that was my biggest mistake. Because sometimes people are like, oh, that's kind of like being negative, or it's kind of like you saying like, in a mother's case, oh, you regret your children, or, stupid shit like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that when we are able to reflect on past experiences and say, oh, I regret this part of it, or this part was a mistake, I don't think that's necessarily a negative. I think it's a testimony and it's just part of your story and your journey to say, I learned from this shit. I lived it. I fucking learned from it. Will I ever do it again? Hopefully not. Probably not. That's not my goal, right? And a lot of people put so much negativity to it. And I think to an extent, even I have done that to myself. Even I have put myself in a position where, when I talk about my past and certain decisions that may sometimes relate to my child, because I am a mother, that I kind of like hold back sometimes. So I kind of watch cautiously what I say and how I say it. Something that I just talked about in this week's minisode. And the reason why is because I don't want it to hurt my child's feelings. I don't want it to make my child ever feel, or for me to ever make it sound like I regret him or I regret anything related to him, right? Yet at the same token, when we do think about any moment of regret or any moment that may feel like it was a mistake, at the end of the day, those are fucking memories you do fucking make, memories that you are able to look back to, and you are able to say, shit, even if I do want to kick myself in the ass, even if I would have kicked myself in the ass, even if I would have been like, oh, what the fuck are you doing? Don't fucking do it. Don't fucking say it, right? It's still a memory. And the upside of it, the positive side of it is, what did you learn from it? Is there something positive from it that you can at least remember it for? Is there something that it did impact you in a positive way, that it made a difference at the end of the day? And it is about just the perspective being everything, and perspective is key in a lot of situations. Sometimes the perspective of others on you, but sometimes even how your own perspective on your own life and your own situation is matters even more. And I say that because I am learning to even accept certain moments where I have looked at shit from a regretful standpoint or a mistaken standpoint, and I'm still embracing the memories that came from that, the good and the bad, the pretty, the beautiful, and the ugly, and I'm still able to learn from that and move forward from that, right? And I wanted to put myself in the hot seat with that because I realized that even though I did answer that question in the previous episode, I didn't quite detail things, and it just stayed with me, and I kept thinking about it. It's something that, I just been really giving it so much thought, and I've just been so reflective on it. When I'm reflecting on things, I really just think about them. It's not to stress myself out. It's not to overdo it, overthink. It's not to, feel guilt. It's not none of that. It's just, I think in reflecting, like we are just bettering ourselves as individuals. And I do a lot of that these days. And I definitely did that this time. The other moment where I want to put myself in the hot seat is, you know what? I feel like 50 official episodes in, you guys have tuned in every single week. Some of y'all might just be tuning in here for the first time. So let me clear my throat. In the great words, the rapper's great words of, in my opinion, one of my favorite, one of my greatest, the amazing Hova Jay-Z. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Double Dose of Miss D. You guys are tuning into a show every single week where no topic is off limits ever, and where we get comfortable being uncomfortable on any topic that I may be covering. And I am just realizing just my growth and the development that the show has been from the very beginning to now. Not much has changed except the growth process, my purpose. And by purpose, I mean just everything that I've learned. What once started as just this momentum and this idea of just having a microphone and a platform to speak on whatever the fuck I wanted to, it has really shifted and it has changed, and definitely for the better, and for something so beautiful that we're going to talk about it in the overdose. But I finally got that one listener email that I've been waiting for, and it is here, and I'm definitely going to indulge on it with you guys. But I'm just really proud. I am still and continue to be that very outspoken and vibrant Latina in her mid-30s, living in New York City with a mouth and an opinion on things that matter to her, on things that she wants to bring to the table to discuss, on things that her listeners will probably join in and agree to getting comfortable being uncomfortable in the conversation. Or some of you might get really comfortable with the thought process and the opinions as well because you can relate or it resonates with you. And then some of y'all might just be tuning in to be nosy, and then maybe there might be some triggering moments. I don't know. But the point is, you guys do come and you share this space with me, and you guys are listening to what I and or my guests have to say. And I am forever grateful for that. This person, Miss D, has been from the very beginning a mystery that is yet to be discovered. And as the time passes and as the episodes continue to be produced by yours truly, me, because I'm the executive producer here, as I continue to let this platform grow and evolve, and I am doing the same thing, it's amazing to me just how far I have come, how far this show has come. It's amazing to get some of the feedback from you guys. And I want to open this up by a quick reintroduction, but also a purely sincere and genuine and loving and embraceful welcome back to some of you, and welcome for the first time to anyone who's tuning in for your first dose load on this here platform. So we're going to go right into, that was my moment with the hot seat and reintroducing myself. I wanted to make it impactful, and I hope it was. I hope my voice was okay. I hope Jay-Z approves. That's my favorite. So we're going to go right into the first segment, which is as raw as it gets. Oh, yeah. So this solo episode that we have going on is not going to stay away from, our typical segments. And I don't really have, I told you guys I didn't really have an icebreaker here, but I was going to put myself in the hot seat. So, in as raw as it gets, I want to be able to tackle two little things. They are going to be little because I'm not going to spend hours and hours on it. Of course not. That's not what we're going to do. It's just little old me talking. But the first thing I want to tackle is surrounding the topic of fear. And the reason why is because, like I said from the beginning, from the very beginning, I am a mystery that is going to be discovered. You guys are going to discover her because I'm going to open up slowly but surely. I'm going to share more and more with you guys. I'm going to get comfortable being uncomfortable on a platform where I am brutally honest. I am very upfront and outspoken and bold with who I am. It just sometimes takes me time. And so here we are. It is the topic of fear. And the reason why is there is a certain aspect of fear that has recently settled in for me. Now, I'm a G. I say that all the time. I'm a tough cookie. I say that all the time. I am a very strong woman and I take pride in that. And whatever which way I define that to be, that is on me. That doesn't necessarily mean that we all have the same definition. But there is a part of me that has been a little, I don't want to say tickled. That sounds a little funny. A little interrupted with fear. And that is the side of me that is a mom. And let me be very transparent with you guys. I don't think you have to be a mother or a parent to understand this. I think you just have to be a human being who has been through life changes. That sounds terrible. That sounds like I'm talking about menopause, and I am not. I mean life changes like in milestones, right? That may happen to you, for example, or may happen to your loved ones, right? To your partners, to any family member who you're very close to, who may depend on you or you may depend on them, or in my case and in some of your cases, one of your children. And one of the fears that is settling into me is the fact that I knew a year ago I became the mother of a teenager. Like, I knew that for a fact. But now sets in the fact that this teenager is going to go to high school. And let me confess this right now. I've come a long way. I've gotten this young man into a very fine young man, very respectful young man, very talented young man, very smart young man. And I take just so much pride in who he is today and what he is and what he has to offer. And if you know him, you are lucky enough to know just how amazing this kid is. And I'm pretty sure he is very lucky to have known you as well. And the thing that has me in fear a little bit is the uncertainty that as much as I've gotten this far in 13 years of life, being his mom and being a single mom to him and being successful as he has definitely seen me in that eye, in that perspective. And he has glorified me and acknowledged me as such. And I am forever grateful for that. I don't know if I know how to be a mother to a young man who is a teenager and who will be in high school. I don't know if I know how to prepare to face that. I don't know if I know how to be able to manage that and be able to, I'm not going to say live through it, but I'm going to say move through with it, move forward with it, in the sense that we're not going to stop. We're going to keep moving through it. I am his mother. That title's never going to go away. He's not going nowhere. He's going to be here. But it's just, how do I maneuver this? How do I facilitate this? I'm using words that oftentimes we use it in a business field, right? We use it at a corporate world. We use it at our jobs. But essentially, we should be looking at life like that, our own personal lives. I tuned into a very early Clubhouse calling, a meeting. It was like a 15 meeting. And it was, I believe, from this gentleman. I believe his name is Patrick. And he came on to, just give a little mentoring 15-minute moment. And he said something about how, he is like his project manager. He is his manager of his life, of his time, of everything. And so, he looks at it that way, to be able to have a successful day, to be able to have his successful life on a daily basis, how he's able to maintain his balance and stay very healthy mentally, physically, emotionally. He preached a little bit on that. And so when you look at things like that, it's like, yeah, I have to look at, just like I would go commit myself to my job on a daily basis and meet my task and be successful in that. It's about my life too. It's how I manage the time in my life, on my daily routines, on my daily task, on my daily schedule. And then when you have another person in the mix, in my case, a child, it's like, how do I manage their life? And no, I'm not saying I need to be there to rescue him at every moment, because I don't know. I am one of those parents who encourages and believes that my child needs to learn his lessons in life. The pure way, the tough way, the tough love way, the easy way, the not so easy way, you name it, right? But I am sitting in this fear that, how do I tackle this part? How do I continue to be what I consider a good mother thus far and not fuck up as a mom? How do I continue to provide him with the support that I've been doing so in the last 13 years, knowing that I have to also, as I evolve with myself, and I'm here on this platform preaching all the time, in a relationship, each person has to evolve with one another. Well, how do you do that with your kid? And let me just say this, I want to consider myself one of the lucky ones who just has one kid to worry about, because some of you guys have more than one child, and then you have to evolve with all children, right? And every child is different. So at least I only have one, and that keeps me a little bit calm. But I have had this fear of, how am I supposed to, learn and continue to learn, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, or as he continues to grow into this soon adult man. Because listen, he's about to be 14, but in a blink of an eye, this kid's going to be 18. You know what I'm saying? Like, as you can see, I'm already suffering. I'm already like, this is how much the fear has set in. Like, I think about these things, and I guess it's just that pressure. This is a new phase in life. This is fucking high school. I remember how I was in high school, and I was not necessarily the best person ever. And, I have to say, and I have to admit, I'm very lucky that he is not that type of a person. He's so different from me. I will say that he's very different from me. Like, my grades were always great, but I wasn't always the nicest person. And I mean, sometimes, us girls, as teenagers, we have attitudes. So I lucked out in a few things, but, there's still some things that I do fear. And I wanted to just be transparent on that and get that raw with you guys on, just as part of my life, something that I do take ever so serious. And it's just very critical for me. I'm critical with myself on it. I'm pretty sure others will continue to give their unsolicited advice and opinions and be critical of me too. I'm going to be honest. But I just don't want to feel or to ever think that I have failed my kid, especially in this very important part of his life. And I'm being this raw with you guys because, I'm lucky enough to be surrounded by some people who are parents to high school boys, and I'm able to see certain decisions that they make and how they maneuver things and how they facilitate their relationships and, with their children, especially young teenage boys. But not everybody has all the answers, and every kid is different. So let me be hella raw right now. If y'all have any tips and suggestions of how to do this part, I have no shame at this moment. I normally do not ask anybody for help, but y'all give me some motherfucking help. Tell me what could be helpful. If there's any males out there who are listening to this show on a weekly basis, and you guys remember just how your mother facilitated and managed and maneuvered life raising a young man, and especially anybody raised by a single mother, please give me what helped you guys. Give me that information. Share that with me, because there's a point in time where I'm going to need to admit that I don't have it all figured out. I do eventually figure it all out, but I don't have it all figured out. And there's only so much a woman can do. And this is no shade to any single mother who has figured it out. Let me be very clear. I commend everybody who has done it without ever asking for help. I have done it as well for the last 13 years, and I've been very lucky and gifted with my environment and my village. But ever so often, one does have to come to the forefront and say, help me, because I'm fucking scared. And I am in fear that I am going to fuck up, and I just don't want to. So there goes my raw moment number 1. And raw moment number 2. I was recently fucking triggered, and let me explain why. Now I'm not going to be here giving a whole review of this show, because that is not what I do, but I do want to highlight it. It is the show Firefly Lane. It is on Netflix, and I binge watched it. I had no business doing that because I was very tired. I totally broke night binging this one. And the reason why I wanted to highlight this is because it's and spoiler alert to anyone who has watched it, my bad, but it is based on a friendship, two people who are friends, two women, best friends. And there's just so much going on as it goes back into time, and they're reflecting on, the show is showing you as a series. I think it's 8 episodes, and it's giving you like what it used to look like then, how their story evolved, how they became to know each other, how they became best friends, how their friendship grew, how it became so strong. And then it brings you into present time and what each one of them is going through in present time, in real time. And it keeps going back and forth, right? And as the last episode fucking approaches, and you see everything that this friendship goes through, and you see everything that they go through individually and together, and just their growth and the drama and just the friendship itself between two women, right? Which, by the way, they are complete opposites, but kudos to them for being friends that long. As we approach the last episode, in the very last moment, and again, fucking spoiler alert, if you do not want to hear this, you have permission right now to skip over this in like the next 60 seconds, right? So just go and skip. In the last episode, it fucking shows you that something fucking goes down. One that is the most problematic one did something to the other. It was a fucked up situation, and the one who is like the least problematic is like, I'm never talking to you again. And like, she doesn't forgive her. She chooses not to forgive her for something. And I realized at that moment when I saw that, I was like, oh, triggered. I was totally singing the Janae song in my head. I realized then it triggered me a tiny bit. But the reality is, and it's something that I've spoken about in the past and I will never get tired of speaking of, there are just some fucking ships. I'm going to call them ships because whether it's a relationship, friendship, family ship, work relationship, family relationship or work relationship or whatever, some of those just have run its course. And some of those things just have to end. And some things sometimes people do, you just cannot forget and or forgive, right? And I don't know what season 2 is going to hold. I'm going to assume a season 2 is coming because I'm nosy as fuck and I'm going to come back just to see what the fuck this bitch did to her. But it just triggered me and it resonated with me. And even if this wasn't just a show, but as someone who has in this last year had to face having to end a few friendships who A, may have run its course after many years of them, or B, just cannot forgive certain actions or certain reactions to situations. I just realized that sometimes you do have to make those tough decisions. Sometimes you do have to let go and move the fuck on. You know what? Sometimes you have to let go and let God and move the fuck on. Sometimes you are supposed to just keep looking forward and not look back. There is a reason why I'm highlighting this, because there is something in the second segment that I definitely want to highlight to you guys that fulfills my soul about this past year of life that we've all lived, but to this day. But it just goes to show, and again, something that I've spoken up in the past, just some relationships, some ships are just not healthy. And some of them you just have to step away from and let go or turn away from or push away. Sometimes you just do. And sometimes it's just that cherry on top. And I've been saying this phrase several times now. Sometimes it's just that last straw, that one little fucking thing that makes a huge fucking difference. And it's not always the most brutal things of brutal things, right? It's not just the most craziest things that some people have the audacity to do. It's just like that one minor fucking thing that will take you to the top, over the top. And you're just saying, that's it. I'm done. And you're done. And so it was just triggering to me, mostly because it was just yet again another reflective moment, yet again a moment for me to say, while I would normally be like, did I make the right decision? This time that triggering moment and seeing that relationship unfold that way, again, just season 1, it definitely put me in a space where I'm like, nah, I did the right thing. I definitely did. And this isn't for me to just sit here and just co-sign my decisions. It's just kind of like yet again another reflective fucking moment. We're going to go through this. This is not, it doesn't just happen just, once a year. No, you're going to go through shit. You're going to be faced with certain situations where you are supposed to just end things and not look back. Now, I'm not saying that's the case in every instance, but in some cases, it's going to have to be. And so I definitely recommend you guys watch that show if you're nosy and you like drama like I do in any TV show. That is definitely a series you're going to want to watch. And then you're going to have to wait anxiously for season 2 with me. But if you have been through any form of, just instability, just maybe even toxicity of any form of ships, go check it out. Yeah, go check it out. It was definitely triggering to me. But if I'm going to talk about, like I did previously, about regrets and mistakes, their memories made, I have to say that series in itself, the going back and forth into time in the present moment, was definitely one of those that it showed a lot of regrets and mistakes made and plenty of memories made. So it was pretty dope to see that, and yet see how all it takes is one fucking thing and just people are just done with each other. So yeah, we are now going to go into the second segment of your favorite show. That was kind of cocky. All right. The second segment of this pretty dope show, Double or Nothing. Okay. So on this Double or Nothing, I want to just, keep her on another dose. And I want to highlight some of my past episodes to you guys, just because of whether they're my favorites, whether I thought they were the most impactful for me, or the feedback that I received seemed to have been very impactful for others, or, its meaning, or just how liberating they may have been for me. And I want to just highlight them. I'm probably going to link the links to the app episodes on Apple Podcasts, so you guys could check it out in the show notes. But again, if you're tuning in for the first time, please go all the way from the beginning, and tune in. So the first one I want to highlight is episode number 29. This one is Fight or Flight. This one was probably a episode that I did not expect to do in the way that I did it, but I felt that it was necessary to talk about the topic. It was a solo episode, solita, just like this one, in which I decided to kind of just come forth and share a little bit of my story of just having been in what I know today and am able to identify as a abusive relationship. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it is because I think still to this day, a lot of us just look at abuse as only to be physical, and it's not. There are many ways that, whether it's intentional or not, a relationship can absolutely be abusive, and it can be very debilitating to one's health, one's sanity, and just one's life. And I wanted to open up on that topic in that moment because of certain things that have happened just in life in general that were a little bit triggering, and a lot of memories resonated for me and a lot of old feelings, and I just felt like I wanted to share that with my audience in the event that it may resonate with others. And it did. Some of you did reach out and gave me just so much love and beautiful messaging, and I am forever grateful for that. And, it was just kind of like a way for me to say, hey, you guys, like, I've lived it too. You're not alone. Like, some of us go through this and we just don't talk about it, but we're here. We are here. We know what it's like. So Fight or Flight is definitely one of my top episodes because I got through it without crying. And if you know me, you know that I can cry at the drop of a pin, but I do a pretty good job holding it together. All right. The next favorite episode I have is number 31. Dream a Little, featuring my dope guests by aliases Amelia and Bernie. And this one was highlighting just two people who have had experience with immigration and DACA, and just being children of immigrant parents, being immigrants themselves. And it was very relatable to me and to my life because although I am a born citizen of this country, I am daughter of immigrant parents. I am Ecuadorian. And so with everything still going on in this world in many different areas and aspects, and so many groups fighting for so many different rights and so many causes and policies and laws and bills and executive orders, immigration has definitely been something that has been highlighted. There's been a lot that's occurred, and it affected a particular community of immigrants and children of immigrants and immigrant children, if I want to be very honest with that. And so I kind of wanted to highlight this a little bit and just go back on certain histories as it involves DACA and certain history as it involves immigration, because I just felt that who am I to not speak on something that in a nutshell, it can absolutely affect me. If my parents would not have obtained their citizenship, if if I would not be true to honor what their journey and what their story was in coming here and being able to offer me a better life and being able to offer me different opportunities compared to what they had or would have had they stayed in their country. So I definitely wanted to highlight that. I wanted to highlight certain topics surrounding that, and it's definitely an episode that I am most proud of, and I hope you guys could definitely go back and tune into that one. The next episode I want to highlight is my first quote unquote a dose. And that is actually, I did think about 3 or 4 of these before I decided that I'm going to make a Dose for the Soul mini series on Tuesdays. But this one was the first one. And this one was with a guest. And it is someone who you guys know by 2 names, either Amyr or BigSisEnergy. And this first dose was called No Pulse, No Justice, Pass the Mic. And it was in honor of and to, of course, discuss and shine light on the disturbing murder of George Floyd. May he rest in peace. There was a lot of emotions that all of society, all of this world should have felt and discuss and speak up on and address and bring to light. And by address, I mean, those people who decided to, turn the blind eye, who decided to not see what was on video for us for nearly 10 minutes. I just felt like there was just so much emotion that I was passionate about and wanted to share my voice and share my opinion and my support as an ally to a group of amazing people and fighters for their own rights and their own respect and trying to put an end to this level of police brutality that has been going on, that there is just no disguise on it, and we know it's going on and we've seen it on videos, and we just shouldn't be oblivious to it. And so rest in peace to Mr. George Floyd. It's something that was as I'm saying this, I'm holding onto my chest because I still remember just like how difficult it was during that time. Many cities throughout the country were in an uproar, and I completely get it. And I want to shout out Big Sis for coming on the show. Amyr, thank you so much for just coming on the show and wanting to share the platform and speak your truth and speak your words and speak your honesty, your brutal honesty, and sharing that moment with me, making the conversation comfortable enough to get completely uncomfortable and just addressing so many different people. Whoever was listening, if the shoe fits, it fits. And if you resonated and you can absolutely relate, then you definitely reached out and you said, I loved the episode. Thank you for shining your light. Thank you for being so brutally honest and saying what you said. So yeah, that's definitely one of those episodes I have to recognize. The next episode I want to highlight is number 33. Number 33, Stiletto Socks and Break to Makeups. That one is featuring my old-time friend Roberto, my brother from another mother. My best friend, he and I lost communication for about 9 years due to something that happened. It was a misunderstanding. It was assumptions. It was not me towards him. It was him towards me. Tune into that episode because in honor and celebration of our reconciliation and rekindling our friendship, our brother and sister relationship that we had for so long, we were able to do that episode. And it was actually around his birthday in October of last year. And I think the reason why this is definitely one of my top episodes is because I'm not always so against friendships, forgiving and forgetting, But what was more outstanding with this particular scenario is that he reached out to me with the topic of conversation being the show and being my podcast, and just having listened to an episode and just expressing himself and saying, I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. You have a show. And then he just dived right in and said, I owe you an apology. And I have to say, if my friend Roberto's listening to this and he completely strategized that shit, kudos to you, because clearly you still know me. You know that's exactly how you get me talking. You capture my attention, and clearly I forgave you. But most importantly, it was just in that moment that I realized just how one friendship that is completely worth it. You just do forgive and forget in that moment what happened. Doesn't mean you don't address it. Doesn't mean you don't apologize and the other party doesn't accept the apology if they choose to. It just means that you are able to just put all of that to the side because that friendship, that bond has always been worth it. And unfortunately, sometimes shit does happen. And I am just forever grateful that even if it took a podcast, headphones, a microphone, and a whole show to bring us together and finally make amends, I am damn proud of that. And it's just a pretty dope episode. It's just so fulfilling to me. I'm so happy to have my brother back. The last episode I want to highlight is number 45, Body, Booty, and Blogging Respectfully. And this one is featuring Sweet Minty, a pretty dope and amazing blogger, writer from the BK, and a very dear, and amazing, talented friend. I am extremely proud of her, and just to see the evolution of her creativity, but most importantly in the topic, her and I, two very distinctively different women, and by distinctively different, I mean on the surface, we were able to share some pretty interesting experiences as women who have dealt with some form of body shaming, who have dealt with different experiences surrounding our appearances, our ways of being, our looks, our character as women, as strong, assertive, bold women. And we were able to share that. We were able to share our opinions on art and the body and just tasteful nudity and just nudity in itself. We were able to talk about, public figures when exercising their rights with their bodies and just the time and the place for it. And I think it was one of those conversations I appreciate so much, where we were able to get really raw and honest with the topic at hand. And if you know me by now, you know the show, this is what I love to do on this show. And I'm always open to friendly debates, intriguing conversations, discussions, juicy conversations. Like, I'm always open to all of it, the juicy conversations, everything. What is a fun conversation if you don't sometimes have differences in opinion and outlooks and perspectives? How are you supposed to have a very engaging conversation and everybody just sits there and says, yep, I agree, yep, I agree, yep, I agree, yep, I see it just like that? No, you don't. Sometimes you do need to see those differences to really see things and to learn. And so I am forever grateful for these 5 episodes that really stood out to me. And I wanted to just highlight them to you guys and thank the guests, every single guest who has come on this platform thus far, who has graced this mic or Zoom recording, who has given me their time of day and who has just fulfilled my soul with so much purpose that I, produced, that I had planned for, that I presented on agendas to you guys. You guys have taken the time to read those agendas. And if you know me, I love to write 70 lines or a paragraph. And, I am so grateful to all of you guys. And that's where I wanted to get raw on another dose with you guys on this double or nothing. And just really, this wasn't just a double and it wasn't nothing. I gave you a five of them. 5 of them. So yeah, there you have it. That's that. And now on the overdose. I think that's going to be my new tune. Overdose. Maybe I could actually make that official. I might just have to learn how to do that a little bit. On the overdose, if you guys listen to episode 49, you guys know that I shared on that episode the very beautiful compliment given to Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast by one of our listeners who we have agreed to call Sue. Hey, Sue, we're back. So she gave us a very beautiful compliment, and forever grateful for that compliment, but she also shared a story with us, and I left you guys on a cliffhanger on episode 49 because I did not give out the details on the story. But on this week's episode, on this overdose, I want to share with you guys the email. I want to tell you guys this story because if you guys read my show notes, if you guys know what I ask for at the end of every episode, I ask you guys to share your stories with me. Come to me for advice. I am not a clinical expert, but I am an expert of life, of my life, of experiences. And I love to give, I love to have my little judgy moment, but I also love to give my expertise advice. And so how could I not share this story with you guys? Because it was hilarious. So just a quick recap, really, really quick. One of the compliments that Sue highlighted for this show here, this this platform was that she said the episodes, they are fun as well as educational and very well presented. And it is great to hear other women talk openly about our sexuality and sexual experiences. And that just hit my soul and it resonated so much with me because if I didn't say it enough already, let me say it one more time. Recently, I found out I've been topic of scrutiny by certain individual for being a very sexual being, and it has definitely been judged, and shame on that person. Someday I'm sure I'll be able to tell that person exactly that. But I am very pleased in knowing that someone was able to resonate with that, and me being a very openly sexual woman and comfortable in my own skin and comfortable to speak on that, and that I've been able to create a platform where people come, where a woman comes to listen to it, and for that moment to resonate with them and for that moment to be so relatable for them. And so that is definitely something that I absolutely cherish, and I'm so happy to hear from a listener on that. And then she was ever so gracious to share a pretty hilarious story about unsolicited something. So here it goes. Sue says, I have a story to share about how I and several other women at work responded to a work colleague who sent me a dick pic. I thought it might be a laugh to share with you. It shows just what can go wrong if these pics are sent out, especially when they are unsolicited. I'm going to link that episode with my best friend for y'all way in the beginning so you can hear about some of the experiences myself has had with unsolicited dick pics. I hope that it provides some entertainment for you in return. Receiving these pics is the story of my life on social media at the moment. I get so many of these pics sent to me on Tinder that I could make a coffee table book full of them. And don't even get me started on Snapchat. Just how did we get here in the world of dating? Girl, I don't know, because I don't date on Tinder and I certainly just have not been dating. Anyway, on with my story. A guy I used to work with used to always brag about having a huge penis. He always looked for an opportunity to talk about how big he was and how so many women were after him because of it. He once said that he had a 10-incher. I'm sure you've come across someone like this at some stage. Yeah, maybe once. This all changed, however, when he sent me a dick pic. Ooh, his pic was a close-up of his penis with a ruler right next to it so I can see exactly how long it was, fully erect. I don't know what he was thinking, but it wasn't anything to boast about. It only looked to be just over 5.5 inches long. Oof. He sent me a message around 15 minutes later, begging me not to show it to anyone else and saying that he was so sorry, but I'd already sent it to every single one of my female friends by that point. What woman wouldn't have, if only to warn them all about him? It was no accident that he sent it to me, as I found out that he'd also sent it to someone else with the same apology to her around the same time frame later. Those 15 minutes. I think that some of them needed a really good laugh, and they sure as hell got one. From then on, we kept on making jokes at work by measuring various items in the office with a ruler and saying things like, damn, that thing's smaller than I expected. It doesn't even measure 6 inches. Petty, Sue, petty. Followed by lots of laughter. It was so funny watching him go as red as beetroot, even though we weren't even talking about his junk. They really do need to understand that if they send unsolicited dick pics, then it's open season for us to send all of our girlfriends to point and laugh at, as well as criticize and judge. Telling them that it's small seems to work really well in getting them to stop. The dick pic guy left 2 weeks later, probably through embarrassment. Our boss didn't understand what was going on until after he left. Afterwards, we told her, and she had a really good laugh and said that it served him right. How could we carry on working normally after going through that? This is not the reason that I consider an erect penis 6 inches or less to be small. I hear that, Sue. Do they expect us to react to their dick pic with a message of, Oh, that's such a nice penis. Is that all for me? Wow, I feel so lucky now. It's so big and such a turn on. Before we magically jump through their screens, desperate for sex, and then jump on top of them, surely they must know by now that this approach doesn't work, and we are much more likely to show their pics to friends and have a good laugh at them. Thank you so much, Miss D, again for an awesome podcast. And I really do hope that my story gives you a good laugh or a smile. Sue, thank you for sharing this crazy ass story. I totally understand your trials and tribulations with dick pics. Whether it is this fucking new thing of social media and dating and Tinder, some of us here in New York City Transit get them airdropped to us while we're on the 4, 5, or 6 line. What can I tell you? It is the green line here, and some of those men are very bold. It has been quite some time since I've gotten anything airdrop, but that's also because I keep my airdrop off these days. For those of you who don't know, airdrop is a feature on the iPhone, and people could definitely just drop their dick pics to you or any type of pics if your shit is on and they see it's on, and they don't even have to know you from a hole in the wall. I love this fucking story, not because I love it because it happened like to someone. That's not what I'm saying. It just goes to show that things like this can still happen, and they do still happen. And at the end of the day, and I discussed this early on in one of my first episodes with my best friend Tina, shout out to her. And it was about just the experiences of getting unsolicited pictures like these. And the thing is this, we live in a world where it's so easy to send these type of pictures to each other. Sometimes people send it to one another in their relationships. And listen, that's up to y'all. I'm totally for it. If that's what works out for you, it has definitely worked out for me. But this whole thing with just sending unsolicited things, like, sometimes it's still a bit much. And we do live in a world where, even if it is a fucking picture, like, just get the damn consent and don't be that bold. Give a warning. Just give a warning, or just, come on. And if it's in the workspace, like the workplace, like, come on, you have to work with these people. Watch what you do and how you do it. Don't be sending things accidentally either. Sometimes that does happen. It happens. So that is that on the overdose. I hope some of y'all enjoyed that little story that Sue shared with us. And just like Sue, if you have any story you want to share, you need some advice on anything, or you just want to, I don't know, even have some suggestions and feedback, or there's anything you'd like to hear on the show, please email the show and let me know. Come forward. I don't incriminate no one. You could tell me if you want to be kept anonymous, or if you'd like me to call you any particular name. No one gets ever incriminated on this show, but please reach out to us. The email is in the show notes, but I will tell you guys right now, you can reach us at doubledose.of.rawtalk@gmail.com. Okay, so I look forward to those emails and to that feedback. Thank you once again, Sue, for sharing this with us. And you guys already know. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is another week and another episode on Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast. I am your host, Misty, and you guys will tune in next week. Bye. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And we are streaming on all platforms. Check us out on Apple and Spotify. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Now let's talk about it.